Good morning to our Dekel Agri-Vision shareholders and prospective shareholders. This is Lincoln Moore, Executive Director, Podcast 11, today to talk about our 2020 Q1 operating statement. Broadly speaking, Q1, we were able to continue operating fairly uninterrupted across the board of our projects, which is quite pleasing. So I'll just take you through each of the key points of each project in turn. The palm oil production project. Production numbers were about where we thought they would be for Q1. We had muted that the high season was going to start a bit later than usual, and you can see the January production numbers almost look like a low season month. So that picked up quite significantly in March, where we had a period of record production, which was really pleasing. And what we're seeing in early April is again quite a strong month is in place at this present time. How much ground we can make up in terms of getting to the H1 levels of 2019 will largely depend on the high season continue on into June. So we'll see where we get to, but we're optimistic we'll see some pickup in Q2 versus Q2 last year. Pricing wise is really where we've taken a bit of a hit from where we started the year. Of course, we started with very supportive prices of up to $870 a tonne, and the price today is at $615 a tonne, purely as a result of COVID-19 impact on the demand side. So obviously frustrating. We're still indicating in our results that we've recorded an improvement in EBITDA since last year, but it could have been, of course, significantly higher had it not been for this interference. In terms of where palm oil prices are going, I think they've actually held on reasonably well. I mean, palm oil is an essential product in vegetable oils and soaps, so it has been reasonably well supported. Most analysts are reasonably neutral at the moment on the price, largely because it's very difficult to ascertain the supply side damage potentially out of Southeast Asia with interruptions at the mills and plantations there, and working that out against the demand side drop off at the moment, given all the world shutdowns going on. I'm obviously slightly biased, but I'm quite optimistic about we'll see an improvement in prices as things open up. Certainly there should be a very strong demand rebound as restocking takes place around the world towards the back end of the year, certainly Q3, Q4. And supply side, I think we're looking at probably another year in Asia of low fertilising, and it was already expected to be again a fairly weak high season in their back end of the year. So really, I think supply side is hard to see a huge lift on expectations, but demand side there should be a strong rebound. The main extra kicker really is whether there's any pickup from the biodiesel angle, which is of course one of the reasons that the palm oil price picked up so heavily in the back end of last year was Indonesia and Malaysia looking to increase their blend of biodiesel and their fuel. I mean, clearly with crude oil prices down at $30 a barrel, it's going to have an impact on biodiesel demand. But any improvement in crude oil prices, will still be an extra kick at the price. So reasonably robust and some upside on price, I suspect, throughout the back end of the year. In terms of the cashew project and the construction going on, it was able to continue uninterrupted through Q1 on the project site. The first stage of land preparation continued ahead, and now form work and infrastructure work for the laying of concrete has now advanced, and the concrete stage is about to commence. So that's progressed quite well and is still continuing at the present time. On the other side, we obviously had our mill, which is in Italy, have some interruption. That they were the manufacturers were slightly ahead of schedule when they were forced to close up in mid-March. So we suspect, we're hoping they'll be up and running again back end of April. And in terms of delays to the cashew project, we think reasonably that we're looking at maximum of 3 months, and hopefully no longer and potentially shorter than that. So we will still be. We're still very confident we'll be producing cashews in the first half of next year. I mean, the thing about cashews, of course, or raw cashew nuts, is you can store them. So during the high season, and once we have vision that the meal is moving to completion, we can continue with buying as normal. So the palm oil project and cashew are clearly our major focus at the moment, but still in the background, we're progressing our other portfolio of projects. The clean energy project has taken some steps forward following initial discussions with the government. It's been indicated that suggested to us the best way to go about this project is to start with the proposal for the biomass project first. It's obviously a slightly smaller scale, but also some of the power can potentially be utilised by Dekel in other projects. So it's more likely to receive a speedier assessment and approval than the larger 36 megawatt project all at one go. So it's still, I think we should indicate that this is still an early stage, but it's positive feedback, and we're now moving into preparing the appropriate proposals in the background whilst the market is quite quiet. We're also continuing on with the assessment of other commodities that Dekel can move into. And after assessing 4 or 5 commodities, it's become quite clear to us which is the commodity we'll be moving into. So I think we're just finalising the sign-off of that internally, and as we are ready to announce, we will announce where we're heading in terms of another commodity. I would emphasise both projects, of course, that we're being very cautious on spend given the current prevailing market conditions. I mean, on that point in general, clearly given the uncertainty of COVID for all companies, capex is being put on hold where absolutely appropriate, and we're reducing costs and deferring costs across the board to preserve cash in this uncertain time. So all in all, whilst the prevailing circumstances we're trying to operate at the moment are very frustrating, and certainly to a large extent providing uncertainty, we are moving forward with all projects, and at this stage operating uninterrupted. The palm oil price, of course, is dropping is annoying, but we're still producing more EBITDA than we were last year, and I think hopefully shareholders can see with that project's potential in normalised conditions, together with the cashew now coming through, that we now have two projects that can generate EBITDA. I think it's not unreasonable to say almost as close to the size of our current market cap. So that's the potential there in those 2 projects. And then, of course, we have other projects working on in the background. So the vision of this diversified agri logistics and processing business is starting to come to fruition. Finally, just wish all shareholders well and safety during this really tricky period. If there's any questions from shareholders, happy to have a look on the chat boards and see what they are and answer those as appropriate. And we look forward to giving you an update shortly. Thank you very much.